r/AskReddit, what fictional character should have been hit with a huge lawsuit at the end of the story? Pretty much every adult in a series of unfortunate events. I'm going for the low-hanging malpractice suit that is House. John Hammond from Jurassic Park, his legal team would spare no expense. The Power Rangers, they're a paramilitary group and are, almost, never officially sanctioned to operate by their relevant municipalities. They cause massive amounts of destruction from their fights and by not warning anyone about the enemies they battle. The Hulk. Sterling Archer in about every episode of Archer. Jim Carrey's character at the end of Liar Liar would be on every no-fly list imaginable, and in prison for such a huge number of offenses for breaking into an airport and stealing a set of air stairs, putting an entire flight at risk, etc., etc. The Umbrella Corporation. The gang from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia should be bankrupt from lawsuits and or in jail by now from all the stuff they've done. Dewey from School of Rock. The entire Psych crew along with the Santa Barbara PD. Barry Benson. The fucker who ran the Truman Show. Chris from Total Drama, edit, a list of crimes he committed, multiple attempted murders, manslaughter, physical and psychological abuse, endangerment, torture, grievous bodily harm, pollution, animal cruelty, fraud, terrorism, snuff filming, property damages, enslavement, poaching, sabotage, arson, attempted destruction, corruption. It's still running, but I can only imagine all the labor laws Mr. Krabs has broken. Willy Wonka, I mean, isn't it obvious? Edit, a lot of people are saying they signed a contract, so here is the article I found at the top of Google that agrees with me. Article, edit 2, here is the legal eagle a lot of people are talking about in replies, video. Ferris Bueller. The nerds from Revenge of the Nerds. Yes, the people they were getting revenge at were absolute jerks, but the nerds committed sex crimes in retaliation. Michael Scott. Every character in Grey's Anatomy, lols. Vernon Dursley from Harry Potter, child abuse, both verbally and possibly physically. Doc Brown from Back to the Future, yeah, sure, when he agreed to build a nuclear bomb for those terrorists he was just joking, edit. And for all of you saying he wasn't actually going to build them a bomb, I doubt that excuse would get him very far with the relevant authorities. Jack Black in School of Rock, basically impersonating a teacher and kidnapped some kids, lol, sounds like serious jail time. Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack repeatedly tricked his way into a house to steal stuff, when asked about it lied, and committed murder and damage to the environment, and I bet giant beanstalk are endangered plants. Barney from How I Met Your Mother would 100% have more sexual assault allegations than Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby combined. Because of its wanton destruction, that hungry caterpillar. Jason Mendoza from The Good Place. Any rom-com protagonist should be faced with a few stalking charges and maybe some sexual harassment ones as well. One of the best tropes about Trailer Park Boys, they open the season by getting out of jail. They end the season by going back to jail. They do something lawsuit-worthy every episode. Umbridge, or beaten by an irate parent for abusing their kid. Lara Croft easily. Destruction of heritage sites, destruction of property, illegal possession of firearms, manslaughter, illegal detention, causing a calamity. I have too. Peter Griffin has committed several federal offenses and has brutally murdered tons of people. You may get mad at me, but Michael Scott, he has done a lot of things that are considered illegal, hitting Meredith with his car, held a pizza boy hostage, and several counts of what might be considered harassment. If Peter was convicted in a court of law, he would get either death row or a life sentence. Indiana Jones, he did quite a few illegal things, like grave robbing, stealing artifacts, and helping a Chinese mafia. Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. Wanda in WandaVision. Chris Farley's character in Black Sheep, the dude takes a police car, evades arrest, then holds up the cheating governor's election celebration by taking a hostage and having a co-conspirator with a rocket launcher threaten the audience. Then they all just laugh it off and he goes back to work with kids. MI6 from the Bond franchise would have to have a financial reconciliation on whether or not saving the world was worth the billions of dollars of destruction across the globe, totally depleting the Crown's treasury. Tony Stark would have had to go on a very long hiatus from being Iron Man in 2015 due to being swamped with thousands of lawsuits and various criminal charges after his negligence resulted in the birth of an AI that orchestrated the destruction of a Wakandan South African city and the annihilation of an entire country, and the entire Earth had it succeeded. Angela is literally a war criminal. Every single superhero ever. The amount of property damage is insane. Though I did like the nod to this in Jupiter's Legacy, where the Utopian tells Paragon you're paying for that in regards to the building that he damaged. If you like this kind of thing, there's a law-focused YouTube channel called Legal Eagle where the host will sometimes watch a movie and try to determine how many laws were broken and what the punishment would be. I like this one where he speculates that Batman racked up a 60 million year jail sentence in The Dark Knight. https://youtube.b/New York HN8Y6RCHK. Hem. Santa Claus. Miss Trunchbull from Matilda, also Matilda's parents, basically all the adults besides Miss Honey. Shinra Electric Power Company, edit. Yes, I'm aware of how impossible this would be, but it doesn't make them less deserving, LOL. Willy Wonka, no way that Wall contract indemnified him against all forms of frippery. Smiley face, if some legal wrinkle. Brain wants to weigh in, though. This is the text, https://www.reddit.com/r/movies/comments/16xmjz/this_what_willy_wonkas_what_at_least/. Clark W. Griswold. What about Mrs. Doubtfire? Cat in the Hat, no need to explain. Zach Morris from almost every episode of Saved by the Bell. The Nerds from Revenge of the Nerds. The Plumbers, an intergalactic military force, from Ben 10. They've been going to war against aliens for hundreds of years and had been responsible for some of the damage that happened. Even some of their members abused their power and used alien technology for their own benefit. Been talking about this one over on the Jane Austen subreddit. Mr. Wickham from Pride and Prejudice. 25-year-old dude runs off with a 15-year-old for the purpose of sex. If that happened today, his ass would be in prison for child molestation and kidnapping. Most everyone from Law and Order SVU. Hogwarts. Everyone on burn notice. 7 seasons of blowing up Miami. Peter Pan. Mario. Every innocent Goomba that was just walking around, didn't even try to attack him, was jumped on by a fat plumber. Wanda Maximoff should be in court facing charges of kidnapping and torture for what she did to the people of Westview in WandaVision. She'd likely also be facing a mass civil suit for damages by the citizens themselves. The island of Sadur, don't even get me started. The EPA is still going to be coming after the Ghostbusters and their hardware. Ancient Sumerian deity nearly destroying the planet notwithstanding. Captain America. Civil War would have ended a lot differently if someone had thought to call a lawyer to challenge the constitutionality of the Sokovia Accords. I know a guy named Matt Murdock, MR, and MRS. McAllister would be on the hook for child abandonment and negligent parenting for leaving Kevin alone not once, but twice. After that, they'd be suing the city to have parental rights reinstated. Superman could have been facing a lawsuit for all the destruction wrought upon Metropolis in Man of Steel. Batman, don't even get me started. Goldilocks for trespassing and the Big Bad Wolf for vandalism. Edward Cullen from Twilight, and the rest of the series, stalking, breaking and entering, destruction of property, not to mention the traffic violations. Mike Ross. Surprised that none said Homer Simpson. Edit. Thank you for the reward, and upvotes. Leonard from The Big Bang Theory should be in federal prison for making highly classified rocket fuel for a model rocket. Eric Cartman and Randy Marsh. Keenan and Kel knocked out and kidnapped a woman multiple times, thinking she was Keenan's cousin's girlfriend. No character but Wayland, Utney. SpongeBob has probably heavily damaged the city about a dozen times over the many episodes, especially whenever he's in a boat mobile. the police from Monster House and the owner of the house, Dumbledore and the entire Board of Education for Hogwarts. Mr. Krabs on multiple occasions, primarily for workplace safety violations and numerous labor laws. Now you could argue he wasn't liable for Krabby Land injuries since the children were given coloring books / liability waivers, but documents signed by minors aren't legally binding, so he's still deserving of a punishment more severe than eating lima beans. Liar liar, the guy hijacks a runway and tries to infiltrate a plane. Dexter, in the real world Dexter would have ended up in prison. Nearly all of them, especially the heroes, but for the specific I go for Claire from Jurassic World. She was responsible for the park, that was completely unprepared for a larger breakout event, that was completely unprepared for a disaster even without dinosaurs involved. Even if she did everything right, she would have hit with all kinds of lawsuits, but instead of managing the catastrophe from the command center and save as many lives that were her responsibility, she ran off into the park. The prince from Snow White. Snow White was 14, he was 31. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. Matthew Broderick's character from War Games. Kid hacks the US nuclear deterrent, nearly starts World War III and it ends with Dabney Coleman giving him an "aw shucks" pat on the head. No way, he's spending the rest of his life in a dark hole somewhere, his girlfriend too, no way the government would let word of that get out. James Bond. Light Yagami, also spoilers I guess. I get it, he died in the end and it was a horrible death too, in the manga especially, but my god was I prepared for there to be a lawsuit against this man. Carrie Underwood in her song about destroying a car. The guy from 50 Shades of Grey. In real life the girl would have dumped him and got a restraining order on him and sued him into next week. He is very sketchy. Since nobody said it, Sunnyside Daycare from Toy Story 3, they did not have enough people looking after all those kids going hogwild. Bray and Tammy Aberdeen from Red Dead Redemption 2, those two nasty incestuous motherfuckers nearly killed Arthur and John, so they can steal his money, not to mention they killed their own mother. Fucking sick. Johnny Bravo, multiple counts of sexual harassment. On the opposite side of all other responses, Seinfeld's gang ends the series in jail based on a Good Samaritan law charges. However, I don't think they were obligated to help the guy being robed considering that they would have put themselves in danger of physical harm, but the stories in the trial do show many times when they may have broken a few laws. Guys, I might be grasping at straws here, but I think Walter White may have partaken in some illegal activity. I'm not 100% on that one though, it's a pretty crazy fan theory. John Mcclane in Die Hard. I could see the insurance adjusters. Mr. Mcclane, you didn't have to damage the ventilation system by crawling through it, so that will be $120,000. Asterisk warning, old man posting about movies from the late 70s, early 80s. Proceed at your own risk. Asterisk. Jake and Elwood Blues, although since they were on a mission from God, they would most likely be immune from lawsuit. I would also think the Delta House lads and Carl Spackler. Tony Soprano. Harry Dresden at the end of each book. Fucker is always causing too much chaos. Most of the men in Pretty Little Liars. So many pedophiles. The author of Never-Ending Story. Gaku. John Hammond at the end of Jurassic Park. There was reckless negligence all around the park and I'm pretty sure he is to blame for it all. Cinderella's sisters were certainly guilty of domestic abuse, specifically mental cruelty. The Kool-Aid Man, destruction of property, especially walls and support structures, is nothing to joke around about. The bullies from Shazam should have been sued as soon as they hit Freddy with their pickup. Kevin McAllister's parents in Home Alone, they neglected their son, and he caused both physical and mental damages to the burglars beyond what would have been necessary to defend his home. He tortured the wet bandits. Dan from Night Court, pretty sure #MeToo would get his ass hung out to dry these days. Barney Fife, if not a lawsuit, he should have been fired 10 times each season. Fucking Willy Wonka. Kurt Russell in Overboard. The premise of the movie is essentially, he's a poor single father of 4 who meets Goldie Hawn's rich heiress right before she loses her memory. Russell goes to the hospital, tells them he's her husband and takes her home with him and convinces her that she's his wife and the mother of his children. Big Daddy, honestly, pretty much any Adam Sandler movie. Batman definitely is getting sued by everyone in Gotham Asylum. Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. LOL I mean, John Wick probably. Plankton. There's got to be some kind of legal loophole that could land the main characters from Wedding Crashers in court, that and the literal rape scene. God, I hate that film. Albus Dumbledore for child endangerment, neglect etc. Tony Stark, for child endangerment with Peter Parker. Seriously, who pick a 15 years old to fight your battle without explaining him the situation? 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. She burns down a police station and assaults a child right in front of the school. Come on. Wile E. Coyote. Dr. Doofenshmirtz is responsible for hundreds of destruction of property cases. I am thoroughly a dog person, but Clifford the Big Red Dog, so much property damage. Christoph from Truman Show, imprisoning a man for 30 years. Light Yagami from Death Note. Ozymandias from Watchmen, guilty as sin and beyond rich. I'm sure the lawyers were crawling over each other to get a piece of that action. Jack Bauer, the amount of civil rights violations he and his agency have committed would end up with all of them getting sued. Thanks for watching. Comment suggestions for any future videos and make sure to subscribe to not miss out on any more good content. I upload daily videos from r/AskReddit, and if you liked the video, make sure to like the video.